What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Let's Talk. So, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Let's talk about it. First of all, to be completely honest, I enjoyed it. I thought that uh, what Zack has done with this film was actually pretty good. Uh, I was wondering how they were going to go about introducing, Cyborg and Aquaman and Flash and how those scenes were going to go. And for the most part, they were okay. They were done okay. Uh, I liked the tone. Um, and even though they used that 4:3 aspect ratio, it didn't bother me as much. My eyes got used to it. So it wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be. Because once you're watching it, your eyes just get used to it. Uh, so I guess what you really want to know is, do I think it should be 4 hours and 3 minutes? No. Mm-mm. It shouldn't be 4 hours and 3 minutes. You could have easily shaved about 20 to 30 minutes off of this film if you take out the gratuitous slow motion music videos he was trying to make. That was my one really big problem with it. And don't get me wrong, I understand what he was going for because Zack Snyder's a very visual director. He's like probably one of my favorite action directors because he knows how to frame an action sequence. That's why I thought he was the best choice for Man of Steel because I'm like, dude, those fights are gonna look proper. You know, if anything, the action will look good. But I think in this uh, film, I really do think that some of the stuff in here was fluff, where they could have really kind of like trimmed some of that stuff down, and you would have had a tighter film because it didn't need to be 4 hours. It really didn't. Now, the stuff that I did like with it was Cyborg, and Ray Fisher did a great job because the movie basically, that's what makes it different from the theatrical cut. Is basically Cyborg is the emotional anchor of the film. In the Whedon cut, he cut all of that stuff out. So, and I'm gonna try to stay away from that whole controversy with Ray Fisher and Whedon and Jeff Johns and Hamada. But seeing the original vision and seeing what they did, yeah, they were dead wrong for that. Um, there were some lines that I thought were cut that I thought were actually good that needed to stay. One in particular was the Superman resurrection scene, which is pretty much for the most part held intact. But there was a line in the theatrical cut where Clark looks at Bruce and says, "You won't let me live. You won't let me die." I think they could have kept that in there because I think that was actually a good callback to BVS. But he pretty much took it out. He just doesn't say anything. He just beats them. He just beats them like they're nothing. So that part I thought they probably should have kept in. And I know people like how Steppenwolf looks, but I don't like Sonic the Hedgehog looking uh, Steppenwolf. I don't like Porcupine Steppenwolf. It wasn't working for me. And I guess because like I'm such a comic book head, and in the comics he's an alien, but he doesn't look like an alien. He wears that ridiculous headdress, but he doesn't look like an alien. It was just throwing me off with the spikes keep popping up and going back down. It just didn't work for me. Now, I did like the how they did those action sequences at the beginning, especially with the Amazons, because it gets a little bit more brutal, and that makes the first time he faces off against Wonder Woman, it makes sense as to why he was saying like my axe is still slick with the blood of your sisters. Because in the theatrical cut, you couldn't tell you he just looked like he was just swatting them away. Nah, in the Snyder cut, he was killing them. So I think that was a little bit better because some of the scenes just work better with Zack Snyder's how he decided to do it, and I think for the most part it works well. Now my only other real gripe, I guess I could say about it, is I felt like there was no need for Martian Manhunter to be there if he wasn't going to help out in the end. Like, what was the point of him? There was a scene where they had Lois and Martha talking, and come to find out, it's in the by now you should have seen it because I'm like a month late, almost. But you should have seen it by now if you watched the film. But she goes outside and it's John Jones, a Martian Manhunter, and I'm like, why did they do that? They should have just kept that. Kept that to me didn't make any sense. Um, that was another. It was just weird. I wouldn't say it was a bad scene because it was a great scene. It was just weird to have that shift from Martha to Martian Manhunter. The other thing too is uh, I like what they did with Darkseid in this, even though I didn't really care for the design of Darkseid. I liked how they showed Darkseid how he's supposed to be, and yeah, that's how I envisioned Darkseid being if he was going to come in live action. Um, Now the other thing too that I found equally kind of just a weird choice was the epilogue, because to me this movie is a Justice League film, but the nightmare sequence and the epilogue is trying to set up the Injustice video game as 2 and 3. I'm like, I don't know if if that really would have worked, but like I said, thinking about it, it sounds good on paper, but execution wise, I just don't think it would have worked unless this is going to be like an Elseworlds tale or something like that. But I don't think Warner Bros is going to go that route. I think they were just trying to get that cut out so people could see it because people had been asking for it. I know people now. The whole thing is now is release the Snyder verse, and I don't think that's gonna work because if you watch Aquaman, that watching the Aquaman movie after watching the Snyder cut of Justice League, it kind of doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff doesn't make sense. So I think that the best thing for Warner Brothers to do, in all honesty, as opposed to this whole Zack Snyder thing, is to, before they even do anything, come up with a cohesive plan their movies out if they plan on doing this, if they plan on doing a universe where they are intermingling, they need to plan it out and stick to the plan. That's what they need to do, because if you stick to your plan, stick to your guns, I think it'll work better than trying to jump around and, oh, this director has their vision, this director has their vision, and then we're going to try to make it work. It's not going to work. Map out a plan and stick to said plan and tell your story from there, and then go on to your next thing. Other than that, though, I thought the movie was good. I'm glad that they put it in parts, so there are points of the film where you can stop it if you need to go use the bathroom or something, and I think that's actually good because, like I said, it's a 4 hours and 3 minutes. I think was a total runtime. Credit to credits was 4 hours and 3 minutes, and I think it's like 6 parts in it. So they have parts where you can like stop it, and with HBO Max, you can stop it, go do what you need to do, come back, and it'll start right where you left off at. So yeah, I think it's worth watching. Especially now, does that detract from the original theatrical cut? No, because I actually didn't mind the original theatrical cut. I think it was good for what they were trying to do. If WB was serious um, about his vision, then what they should have done was do like they do in Japan when Rurouni Kenshin and Attack on Titan came. They did part one in 1 month, part two in the next month. So it would have came out in November 2017. They could have put out part one in November 2017, part two for Christmas of 2017, and that would have worked. I understand why they couldn't put a 4 hour film in theater because you don't get that many run times, and if you don't get that many run times, you're not gonna make that much money. And Justice League was a big investment, so the best thing, in my opinion, if they could have done to keep the Snyder stuff together, it was just what did one in November, part one in November, part two in December, and go from there. Even though I know American films don't do that, but that would have probably been the best thing they could have done to try to salvage the situation. I think Whedon, people were already upset when they saw Joss Whedon's name. They were upset as soon as they saw it. So as soon as they saw his name on it, they were upset. But honestly, I think that's the only way they probably could have salvaged this if they wanted to do it in theaters. If you worked in a movie theater, you probably understand this. You're not going to put a 4 hour movie in there because you're only going to get two, maybe three showtimes if at all. And if you do it in the holiday season, when you have so many movies coming out, you're really not going to be able to put them in multiple movie houses. You're only going to be able to put them in like one or two movie houses, and that's not going to work either. So there's that. But other than that, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the film. Did you like it? Do you want them to restore the Snyderverse, or are you like me, just figure out what you're gonna do, lay out your plan, and go from there. I love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you guys on my next review. Peace.